This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Doug, did you press all the right buttons?
Oh, I've pressed several buttons, some you can't even see. And one of those buttons has got me fired up for a Monday in America. What are you drinking this morning, OG?
Coffee?
Question mark?
It's in a coffee cup.
So everything's coffee.
It is summer. Since it's in a coffee cup, is it not coffee? Actually, it is coffee today.
Is it?
I'm on a non-drinking kick, so I'm drinking coffee.
Good for you. Good for you. I have, as you can tell,
Airplane mug.
I have completed my intake of caffeine for the morning. I have no more left. Drank most of a pot this morning because I was up extra early. Thank you, dogs. And I'm ready to go. But you know what we need to do before we dive in is thank the men and women on behalf of Navy Federal Credit Union who are serving in our armed forces, keeping us safe and ready to have a great week. What say you?
Perfect. I love it. Semper Fi.
Thanks, everybody. Let's roll.
Here's the song that we'd like to do for all the younger set of people, the teenagers and what have you. This one's called Vacation's Over. Vacation's over. It's over. It's over.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Today, I'll be doing a quick tour of the basement for the newer listeners who probably assume we're here in a big, fancy studio filled with priceless artwork, sitting on golden thrones. And that's just the bathroom. Instead, I'll take you on a tour of the rest of the basement. And once you've gotten a lay of the land, you'll learn how to avoid unnecessary taxes with IRA expert Ed Slott. In our headlines, is it possible to have too much cash? We'll discuss that ridiculous notion. Plus, we'll answer a question from one stacker who thought, I'd better call Saul, C-High, and OG. And then I'll share some Rocky trivia. And now, 2 guys who've been declared the 2 best podcast hosts in the world by Joe's mom. It's neighbor Doug and OG. Yeah, I just introduced myself.
Oh, all right. Welcome to the party. So today, it's just you and me. Joe had a family thing, sadly. So he's out of commission for a little bit.
Tending to more important needs.
We're thinking about Joe and Cheryl and all their family, some family stuff going on. So thoughts and prayers with them, and we're going to hold down the fort for the next, week, 2. We have some hodgepodge stuff. We've got some stuff in the can, as they say. Your mom says that.
I was going to say, for those not in the business, your mind immediately goes where it should not go.
Yeah. Joe's recorded some interviews, so we'll plug him in a couple of times. He's got a thing with Paula on Wednesday this week, so that'll be there. So it's kind of feel normal. But we're Frankensteining a little bit to throw this together.
I think I like your characterization of how much fun it's going to be with just you and me hanging out.
I did say to Mrs. OG, I said, she asked about the show. And I said, I think Doug and I are going to. She's like, I like the idea of just you and Doug.
Oh, she thinks about us that way, does she?
No, she's talking about the show.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dream
Got me all excited. Just the 2 best buds of all time hanging out for a couple of weeks.
It's like that scene from Hangover.
Classic. We are back. We are back. We are getting Doug back. and we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have, and we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other. We're the best three friends that...
Aw.
We're getting Doug back.
Okay, you had your Monday warm and fuzzy, people. I want to dive into things here, OG, but first, we've got some wonderful sponsors who help make this show possible, and we really appreciate all the we appreciate all the stackers out there who support our sponsors and listen to these upcoming ads. You know, we've got some ads in the front of the show that help keep the back of the show ad-free and keep us doing what we do. So stick around. We'll be right back.
In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
OG, let's dive into the headlines this morning. There's one I really have been looking forward to getting your take on. It's a Wall Street Journal article from a week or so ago. And it says, Americans chasing high interest rates risk falling into a cash trap. Investors have to decide whether to sit on their cash or redistribute it ahead of expected rate cuts. This comes to us from Vicky Gehuang. I'm sure that's exactly how you pronounce it, of the Wall Street Journal. And, we could be approaching a bit of a quandary as expected rate cuts are coming. And so many people have moved a lot of cash into high yield products, whether they're CDs or money markets or high yield savings accounts. Vicky says this: Americans have poured money into cash-like investments since the Fed began raising interest rates, driving assets and money market funds to a record $6.12 trillion earlier this month.
Whoa.
And that's a heck of a lot of money. But now Wall Street traders are betting rates have peaked, and those investors face a choice: keep sitting on their cash as interest payments shrink, or figure out how to redeploy the money. Deciding when and how to rebalance a portfolio is challenging even for the pros. Well, we've got a pro sitting right here. OG, how does this land with you?
My kind of go-to place for all data is JP Morgan's Guide to the Markets. It's free. You can just type in JP Morgan Guide to the Markets. And every quarter they produce a slideshow, maybe 70, 80 slides of different data.
Light bathroom reading.
Yeah, it's all, it's not words, it's pictures. Okay. So it really suits me. But stuff that they think is important. They cycle in and out different things. For example, right now they've got a focus on the weighting of the 7 biggest tech companies, in their return compared to the S&P and so on and so forth. That's kind of interesting information. But we're talking about cash. So I'm on the consumer savings tab, which the most recent quarter is page 21 or slide 21. And a couple of things that I see here. Number one, personal savings rate is now down to 3.8%. So the average consumer has, used to save a lot of money back in the pandemic world, and then that's kind of trickled down. And the excess savings, so if you think about all the savings that we got excess due to stimulus checks or due to tax refunds or due to saving from not commuting and that sort of thing. That kind of built up, and that's pretty much all been wiped away. So I don't know who she's talking about saving 6 trillion, but I think maybe it's investors. Is that kind of how you read that? It's like investors are putting money in cash as opposed to investments? Or do you think that this is actual like emergency fund money? The average person is saving cash. I feel like this is investment money that's not in the investment.
The whole article is geared towards, average Joe lunch pail, I don't think they're really talking about like institutional investors here. I think this whole thing has to do with just you and I and the people living next door to you are the 6.1 trillion, and they're in a cash trap.
Yeah, I guess the way that I'm thinking about this is that it's probably a percentage of money that would otherwise be invested. It's part of the average investor's portfolio, not cash. So when I hear cash trap and, you're making a mistake by having lots of cash, I think, well, what the heck are you talking about? Having an emergency fund would be a good idea. And having it in a high yield account, obviously, except for the stuff that you need tomorrow or, the next month or so, that also seems like a pretty good idea. But I'm taking this to mean this is people who have an investment portfolio exclusive of their emergency fund. That's how I would agree.
And I thought you used an interesting phrase a minute or so ago, which was excess savings. And I think that's really getting at the heart of this, which is, if your emergency fund is oftentimes recommended to be 3 months to 6 months, this is, I think, certainly what they're getting at is in excess of that, because it feels like, hey, I'm getting a great return and it's pretty safe. And so if I needed 40,000 for my emergency fund, I kind of like 100 sitting out there in a high yield savings account because I like 5% with very little risk at the moment. But I think what the author is getting at here and the people from JP Morgan are saying is we think rate cuts are coming, and you might consider redeploying some of that excess beyond your emergency funds back into the market.
And this is the problem. When you try to time the market, when you try to have an idea of, well, today I should buy stock or tomorrow I should sell stock because of insert calamity that you think is going to have an impact, it's purely a gamble. Sure. It doesn't mean that you're going to be wrong, because there's plenty of people who have guessed right. I know of people who invested heavily toward the bottom of the COVID, when it was down 25, 30%, and they were taking a calculated risk at that time. And you could say maybe the outcome is the same for people that have transitioned money from investments into cash. Like you said, hey, would I rather have 5% in my money market account risk-free, or would I rather have potentially 10% in my brokerage account with high variability, insert apocalypse du jour, whether it's wars or election cycles or Federal Reserve changes or whatever? I don't feel confident, so I'm going to take my free 5. The problem with this is that you have to figure out how to get back in the market. You have to figure out how to deploy that money back in. And the interesting thing is, let's say that you timed it out right? So the beginning of 2020, you're going, ooh, I'm feeling pretty weird about this weird coughing disease that's happening in the Far East. And those folks in Italy are really having a hard go of it. I'm going to take all my money and put it in cash. Well, let's assume that interest rates were at 5% then, which they weren't. Right. You've missed out on 119% return in the market. I don't care how you got to get a lot of years of 5 to get 119. And so let's say that maybe you're like, no. I didn't do that. I waited until the market recovered. And I felt that in 2022, inflation was going to take over and the market was going to crater. Since 2022, the market's up 15%. You're going to probably guess wrong. And if you've got enough time, if this is long-term money, the whole idea is have it be long-term investing. And then you take that, the real risk is trying to redeploy that capital at a higher price than what you took it out at before. So if you've got excess cash as an investor, by the way, I look at this and I'm like chomping at the bit. I'm loving life, because as the market continues to go higher, more and more of that that record $6 trillion, people are going to get a lot of FOMO. And that's going to start filtering its way back into the market, which is great for me, who has been invested this the whole time. Yeah. Because as the market continues to trend higher, more and more people are going to go, oh, crap, 5%. To your point, it's going to go from 5 to 4 to 3, whatever the rates go to. People are going to go, oh, crap, I could get this money back in. And they're going to get it in the market, and it's going to drive the price.
Interesting you say that, because later on in the article, the author says anxiety is understandable about, trying to decide when to get back in. because global instability can lead to market volatility, and everybody's worried about an upcoming election cycle and interest
Blah,
rate
blah,
changes
blah.
and tensions in
Yeah.
the Middle East and other things. And so we all come up with these reasons to be nervous that something is going to cause the market to crash. And David Kelly, the chief global strategist at JP Morgan, says people generally feel negative and pessimistic. If they invest based on how they feel, they're going to hang on to cash forever. So he actually is a little bit different. He's saying, nope, people can always find something to worry about and just come up with reasons to keep it in cash. But that can lead to some other issues that get brought up in this discussion, which I think stackers are going to like your take on. And it has to do with taxes and fees and inflation, because the longer that you have money sitting in cash, inflation starts to erode the value of that cash, right? And then your returns or your interest returns on that cash is taxed as income. So those are two big things that sort of erode the value of, or this perceived, hey, I'm getting 5% on my money. Well, after about 3 years, you're not.
Well, I mean, if your money's sitting in a bank and you're getting interest is taxed as ordinary income on your tax return. So whatever your marginal rate is, that's what you're paying on the interest. If it's a dividend, if it's in a money market fund and it's structured as a dividend, that could be taxed slightly differently, a little bit more advantageous, but there's still going to be taxes. And even completely excluding the tax implications, which I think you can't do, but let's just say that somehow you did, you just don't pay taxes or something. The fact that inflation, I just had this conversation with our team about inflation pay adjustments, right? It's like, hey, the stuff costs more money. What's the most recent number? 3.8% or 3.5. So if you're getting 5 and paying 10, 20% of that back in taxes, so you're down to 4, and then you got 3.5 that's inflation, your net return is 0.5. I think the answer to all of this really lies in, where is the money needed in the future? If you need the money, if you're like, this money is to be used for a house down payment in 24 months, boom, cash. I don't care what the rates are. I don't care what's going on in the market. I don't care how many NVIDIA calls you feel like buying. At the end of the day, it's got to be cash, because we've got a known time frame that's a short period of time. Anything under 5 years is a short period of time. You want to take volatility out of it. If the time period is longer than 5, if you're like, well, I'm 40 and this is money I should, I could be investing in my 401k, or this is money I could be investing in my brokerage account or my kid's college fund, but I'm nervous about insert apocalypse, whatever is happening, you got to take that out of your mind. All you have to do is just look back the last 5 years. I'm blown away that we are almost, 6 months away from the 5-year anniversary of COVID. Can you believe it's been 5 freaking years already?
I know it.
I mean, we're still talking about it. It still affects people. It's still an issue. I get all that. But how like, everyone who's alive, who's listened to the show has probably listened since around that time. We've been doing it since the early 2010s. But, COVID, like, what was going on? It was chaos. It was pure chaos.
I'm wiping off my cereal boxes from the grocery store.
I'm not sure if I should go on a walk today because I see my neighbor down the block, and I'm not sure, we were joking about it a little bit now because it's kind of funny to think about, but put yourself back in those shoes. Not only were we petrified to some extent, and some people were a little less than others, but we're really concerned about our health. And then we're watching the market go down. Just a casual third in 17 trading days. There's only 5 trading days in a week. So like literally in 2 weeks and 2 days, the market went down a third. 1/3 of all of your money went poof. That's pretty fat. Like, you haven't even got a statement yet. It's like, even if you're like, I just look at my statement. It's like, you had $1 million. You're like, oh, I think it's fine, Maud. And then the statement comes on March 31. You're like, oh, what happened? You haven't had a chance to even change. It was chaos. And yet, if your money was invested, if it was 2010 and you're like, I'm retiring in 2025, that's long-term money, I'm retiring in 2030, you've been back to even for a long time. You've gained money well above that, well above that. And it's like it never even happened. If you look at that chart, it's like a little bloop on the whole thing. It's almost a nothing. In the moment, it feels really concerning. So like the stuff that's going on right now in Israel and Gaza, that's very concerning. The stuff that's the presidential election, very concerning. In 5 years from now, it's going to be like, bloop. That's one little.
Yeah, we need a sound effect for the. Actually, maybe we just did it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking as you were saying that,
from a money perspective, I should say.
Right.
Because obviously there's some other stuff.
What we're all essentially saying is you have to try to take emotions out of this. Stick to your investing mantra that you created, your policy statement that you created for yourself, and take emotions out. That's why you're such a great guide for our stackers, because you're emotionless.
Like the Terminator.
Yes.
I have no emotion whatsoever. No, I mean, I don't know that you take emotions out of it. I think it's totally fine to recognize it, but you can't act on it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I remember this Eisenhower quote about like fear is, whatever. And
oh, you nailed it.
Courage is, yeah, no, I mean, it's like something like courage is doing, what you have to do, with wet pants, basically. It's like fear is wetting your pants and courage is doing what you have to do with wet pants. Like, it doesn't mean that the fear doesn't exist, right?
Are you
it's
saying
like
a president said it was okay to pee your pants?
Well, like maybe when he was a general,
okay,
prior to presidency, like, he had this, I'm starting to read this book about D-Day, so I'll let you know if it comes up,
okay.
But I don't know if that'll be in the official dialogue or not. I think it was Eisenhower. I don't know. It could have been my dad. I'm not sure who it was, but it was one of those two great men.
Or your third grade teacher
who said something about it's totally fine to pee your pants. But my point is like, you can still recognize that it's there, right? You can still say, I'm really concerned about what's going on in this area of the world, or I'm concerned about what's happening with the election cycle, or I'm concerned. That doesn't change the fact that you have to invest for the future. This time is not different.
So watch the news, read the news, worry about it if you feel like it, but keep your hand off the mouse. Don't execute trades.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Keep your hand out of the cookie jar.
I think that's a pretty good place to leave it. If you have a headline that you are curious about getting our take on, please share it with Joe we'll get all the email going to Joe so we can flood his inbox.
Yes.
Joe at stackingbenjamins.com. I wonder if one day I'll ever get an email address. I don't like the look on your face. That says
I'll check with corporate. Corporate said no.
Wow, you got a direct line to corporate, don't you?
Hold on. It's like those YouTube videos. Do we think we should give Doug an email? No. But he really wants one. That would be a terrible idea. They talked about it. They decided no.
Yeah. Okay. It's happened before.
Who's Joe interviewing? I know you already said it earlier, but I can't.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to the intro. Look, I'll just tell you again. Coming up next, Joe was honored to be the MC at Ed Slott's book launch event a few weeks ago for his book, The Retirement Time Bomb Ticks Louder. And we thought we'd play it here because there are a ton of nuggets in there to help our stackers fight off the time bombs in their portfolio. But remember, it's a book launch event. So are they selling a book? Heck yeah, they're selling a book. But there's so much good stuff in there. We thought we'd share it anyway. So chill out on the whole selling part because there's some great, great stuff in here. But first, better stuff, my trivia.
Ah, yes, indeed. This is the time that I get to tune out for a few minutes.
Do you even know what the most important part of the show is?
Yeah, it's the spot after I get done talking. And before I talk again, I get to tune out.
All right, go take a nap, fluff up that pillow, because stackers, here is today's trivia question. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Here in the basement, we like to keep things simple. Aside from our recording equipment, we got a couple of nice black leather couches in case any celebs stop in to chat. Oh, speaking of celebs, over here is a framed photo of famous Texan George Foreman in his prime. I know you can't see it, but basically picture my exact build, but with his face. In this corner, over here, we have a professional level dartboard. And of course, we have a mini fridge full of ice cold Shiner Bock. We're in Texas, it's the law. And wine coolers for the ladies and OG. This entire armoire on the other wall, I'm glad he's asleep, he didn't hear that. This entire armoire on the other wall is filled with snacks. We got hot Cheetos, 3 tubs of beer nuts, a jar of random loose candies that are all stuck together, and about 30 cans of peaches. I like to eat one whole can before every recording because someone told me that the syrup is good for your vocal cords, and obviously it is. I mean, speaking of taking care of your voice, on this date in 1776, the Declaration of Independence was read aloud to the public for the very first time. The reader, John Nixon, was a financier who had served as a militia officer in the American Revolutionary War. Today's trivia question is, in what city was the Declaration of Independence first read to the public? I'll be right back after I do some lung stretches.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Songbird and interior decorator Joe's mom's neighbor Doug. While the Second Continental Congress voted to approve the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, it wasn't read aloud to the public until the 8th. Even the founding fathers had to do a read-through. Imagine if they thought it'd make it to a podcast. They weren't prepared for that. I bet it would have over 1 billion downloads by now. Today's trivia question is, where was the Declaration of Independence first read aloud? The answer, before Colonel John Nixon began the reading, bells rang out across the town to signal to the public that it was about to begin. After the event, the bells continued to ring out throughout the night, driving everyone out of their damn minds. Before D.C., the United States Capitol, much like the bobblehead collection we keep here in the basement, moved several times. However, it was the very first capital, Philadelphia, where the Declaration of Independence was read aloud for the first time. And now, here to teach us how to pay only the taxes you absolutely have to, it's today's mentor, Ed Slott.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour. Let's say hi to Ed Slott.
Well, I'm dressed for it. See that?
You are. Is that green for profits, Ed?
That's right. Money green. I don't know if you noticed, I have a new book, Subliminally, not making a big deal out of it.
Would have never known. Would have had no idea. And the cover might be green.
Stuff like that, really.
Right. You're way above doing something like this.
Yeah, right. I mean.
Yeah. I want to start where you start on this project, Ed, and let's chat for about 15 minutes about some of the important themes in this book. For those of us that have been planning our taxes for a long time, we think it's this static thing, right? That taxes are always going to be the same. But you say that in 2019, some of that bedrock started to get pulled out from underneath us. What changed in 19 and 20?
Well, it starts with the same reason always. Congress needs money. That's always the beginning of everything with taxes. And they needed a lot of money, and they still need even more. I mean, the debt now, I don't even know, 34 trillion. What does it even matter anymore? I mean, 34, I used to say it was a phone number, but now it's bigger than a phone number, even with the area code and the one. So this money, the whole country is living on a credit card. So Congress is always looking for revenue. So they look for the easy pickings, the low-hanging fruit. And you know who that is? Everybody that did everything right that we were told to do, put money in IRAs and 401ks, tax-deferred accounts. Now, Congress has pulled out the rug from many of the people, changed rules that were in place that people relied on, and with their estate planning and beneficiaries that they relied on for decades. Congress took away what we used to call the stretch IRA, the ability of beneficiaries for these tax-deferred accounts could in the past, actually build over 20, 30, 50 years for your family. What a legacy. Congress didn't like that. They needed money. They wanted their money quicker. So they got rid of that whole system. And that started in 2020 with something called the Secure Act. Now, after studying taxes for over 40 years, I can tell you, any time that Congress has ever named a tax law, you can almost always bet that whatever they name it, it will do exactly the opposite. So like, for example, how's that Budget Reconciliation Act going? That was a good one. That was a great one from Congress. What a sense of humor. Then when I saw they came up with Secure Act, I said, secure, hold on to your wallets. And sure enough, they want their money sooner. So almost all the buildup in these accounts, and remember, you had a big buildup from the stock market the last decade or so, not today, but the last decade or so, and all of this money is growing. It's growing for you, but also for your silent, not even silent, maybe majority partner, Uncle Sam. That's not a good plan. All of this money starting in 2020, the big overhaul of the rules, has to come out by the end of 10 years after death. So whenever you push all this income like out of a giant fire hose into a shorter window, the taxes are going to eat up most of everything you and your family counted on. And then came Secure 2, which means they needed more money, Congress. And then came IRS regulations, and the combination of all these tax laws is like wind shear on your retirement savings. And all of a sudden, Congress is counting all the revenue. But there are some good things in here, especially Secure 2.0, to take advantage of. You know, when they take the rules away, when they take the strategies away, they being Congress, it opens up new doors like anything in life. So it probably is good that it forces us to do the better planning we should have been doing all along. IRAs were always a lousy wealth transfer estate planning vehicle because they're loaded with taxes. I've been saying that for years. Matter of fact, last year I did a column in Investment News. I write for them every month for years. And I titled the column, Stop Contributing to IRAs.
And you blew up the internet with that one, by the way.
Yeah, they told me, actually, they put it on their site right in the beginning of January. That was the top viewed article of all articles for the whole year on Investment News, not just retirement or tax planning, investments, everything. And I think it was the title. I guess you might call it clickbait, but there was a story behind it that IRAs they're just too hard it shouldn't be this way, that it's so hard to get your money out without a penalty, excessive or unnecessary taxes. And every time that hits, it takes out of you and your family what you counted on for retirement and to pass on to loved ones. So I redid this and I said the retirement savings time bomb ticks louder. Why? Because I'm worried about future higher taxes. I'm worried about the uncertainty of what future higher taxes can do to your standard of living in retirement. I'm worried about higher taxes. You know, some people say, Joe, that, this is I call the big lie or the big myth, and you know where I'm going to go. They say, well, it's not a big deal. Won't I be in a lower bracket in retirement? Do you get that a lot?
Absolutely, all the time. I mean, that's retirement planning myth 101, right?
Right, because people forget, if you do nothing, the account continues to grow, and everybody likes looking at their statements. I remember having a client years ago brought me in the statement. He hit $1 million, says, look at my IRA. I said, what are you showing? That's not yours. It's just temporarily on your letterhead. You're not keeping any of that. Most of that is going right back to Uncle Sam through income taxes, estate taxes. You want to be in control of your tax rate. And that's what this book does. It helps you control how much you pay and when you pay. You want your plan, not the government plan. If you do nothing, and some people ask, I say that in every seminar, by the way, you want your plan, not the government plan. And people sometimes ask, Ed, what is the government plan? Maybe I'm interested. No, you're not interested. But if you need to know what the government plan is, it's easy. Do nothing and let it all happen on the government's timetable. And then you have required minimum distributions at age 73, and then you're on their plan. You have to make the tax laws work for you rather than against you. And this gives you that plan to move your money from tax deferred accounts, or what I like to call from forever tax accounts that are forever taxed, to accounts that are never taxed. I love tax free, and you will too. I never had anybody complain, oh, my money's in tax free. I can't give anything to the government. You ever get that complaint? I don't think so.
No. It's funny because when I first saw that headline that you had online, I thought Ed's finally gone on a bender. He's finally gone. But I want to get to what you really meant there, because as you alluded to, there's a ton of opportunity here that people need to take advantage of. But let's start with this, because most of these opportunities, Ed, are around, to your point, tax rates. And there's something we're going to hear from both candidates as we lead up to this election, right? We're going to hear over and over that taxes are high and we need to lower taxes.
That's not going to happen. And as a CPA, I have to believe, because this is how I was trained, in something called, it's a 4-letter word, so watch it. Something called math.
Oh, that's crazy talk.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I have to believe in math. I see the debts going up at some point. These accounts are going to be hit with what I call this ticking tax time bomb. Say that 3 times fast. The ticking tax time bomb. And that's the tax building up in these accounts. And you can't sit there and ignore it. It's like the sign my dentist has in her office. She used to have a sign that said, oh, ignore your teeth and they'll go away. That's what's going to happen to your retirement savings if you don't take action. And there are advantages you can capitalize. As you just said, Joe, 2 great things happening today, and I'll address the tax rates. Number one, you're right. Everybody complains, all the politics, oh, the taxes are so high. They're not going lower. Maybe they won't raise them as much, but they might have to, again, due to the math problem, the debt problem. But even if they don't do anything, and Congress is famous for that, kicking the can down the road, if your account keeps building, you will pay more because you have more that will be taxed in higher brackets. And because it's just going to creep up the brackets. But right now, we have the lowest tax rate. So everybody, like you said, all the politicians, oh, taxes are high. I have to tell you, we're in the lowest tax rates you may ever see in your lifetime. In fact, on page 28 of this book, just to make the point, I give you the history, the complete history here of the top federal tax rates going back to the 16th Amendment in 1913, when we started our current tax system, right up till 2024. And I highlight the years many people watching here were born, including me, maybe you too, the baby boomers. These are the people born 1946 through 1964. And if you look at that chart of top rates, just as a comparison, the top federal tax rate for each of those years exceeded 90. No, you heard that right. No static. 90%, except for the last year, 1964, when they dropped the top federal rate all the way down to only 77%. Now, I'm just relaying what I heard because I wasn't there then. I was 10 years old watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, but I'm told when they dropped the rate down to only 77%, the whole country did a happy dance. Our top rate isn't even half of that amount now. Now is the time to strike. You know, Mark Twain had a saying, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Or what I'm really saying, those who don't learn from history are bound to repeat it. So this is an action plan to move your money to tax-free territory, get the taxes on sale. But it means paying some taxes now. Nobody likes to do that. But you have another benefit, not only low tax rates, you have another great thing happening, and this is going to throw some people. Inflation. Now, people
We've
say,
seen-
inflation,
we've
Ed,
seen-
have you seen the price of beans and everything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up. You know, inflation means things cost more. But you know what else it means? And that may be bad, but inflation, when it comes to taxes, is great. Like Frosted Flakes, great. That's how great it is. Why? Because each year when the cost of living index inflation goes up, the brackets expand. The rates stay the same, but more money can be pulled out at rock bottom rates. Now is that time. That's why I say it's ticking louder, because we may not have this system in a year or two.
It's so interesting, all the different places where people can find new savings opportunities here with Secure 2.0, but you can't, to your point, you can't sit still. I want to start off with where you began this interview, which is when you said don't save into a normal retirement plan. You're not saying don't save. You're saying go the Roth route, I believe.
Right. Go tax-free.
How is that different now with Secure 2.0 then, Ed?
Well, Congress, luckily for us, I shouldn't even say this, but the heck with it. Luckily for us, Congress are the worst financial planners on earth. So why shouldn't we take advantage of that? They're short-sighted. Don't you be short-sighted. What do I mean? In Secure 2.0 and a little insecure in the first package and all these changes, Congress went all in on Roths. I call it Rothomania. Some people called it Rothification. Right. They want more people to put more money into Roths. They have benefits now to Roth 401ks, no RMDs in Roth 401ks, all new this year. Matching contributions can go to Roth 401ks. Congress wants us to have Roth SEP IRAs, Roth Simple IRAs, Roth matching and catch-up contributions, 529 to Roth rollovers, Roth. Why do they like the Roth so much? Because it brings in revenue. The only money that can get into a Roth IRA is already taxed money. So they get their money up front. Let's take advantage of that. They like the idea that we're willing to pay tax, but if we can get it out at lower rates, you and your family will always have more. One of my always rules, the two of them is the theme of this book. Tax-free is always better. Non-negotiable, always true. The second one is the key to keeping more and protecting more of your retirement savings from taxes. Not only tax-free is always better, but always pay taxes at the lowest rates. That's so simple. It's like the stocks, buy low and sell high. In fact, the old comedian, if you remember, Henny Youngman once said years and years ago, I'm putting all my money in taxes, the only thing sure to go up. He was right. So I'm saying take advantage. Congress is giving the store away. They want people in Roths. They don't look beyond their 10-year budget cycle. So they only see, imagine if a business only saw revenue and didn't even deal with expenses. That's Congress. They said, we don't care if everybody does Roth. In 10 years, we won't be here. We'll do other things. And the whole country will be tax-free. Fine.
And on a very, very basic level, and I know we could get it. I mean, we could have 4 hours on all the opportunities with the Roth.
So many opportunities now.
But the very basic one I think everybody can take home tonight is if you have the Roth option on your 401k and you can just straightforward put that money in, do it, is exactly where you are.
Right. It used to be people say, well, I don't know about the Roth 401k because there's still RMDs. Not anymore. Secure 2 changed that. So it's one of the new breaks I have in the book that Congress provided. People, you say, well, the company has to put the match into the taxable, the tax deferred, the 401k. Not anymore. So if you could push everything into a Roth 401k, you're going to be way ahead. Now, some people said, but then I don't get my deduction. That's not a real deduction. It's not even a real deduction. It's an exclusion from income if you go to a 401k. For example, if you make $50,000 and put $10,000 in a regular 401k, your W-2 will only show 40. You're only taxed on the net. If you go to a Roth 401k, you're taxed on the gross, the 50. That's where Congress gets their money. And people call that, well, I got a deduction. No, that's not a real deduction. Any deduction for a 401k is really just a loan you're giving to the government that will have to be paid back at the worst possible time, probably at higher rates, in retirement, you want certainty. You want to make the tax laws work for you rather than against you. And the same thing with IRAs. Go Roth.
Pay the bill now. There's so many pieces of this where we can go. I think people want to read your book to look at the charitable giving has changed. That's become exciting.
Charitably inclined.
I don't want to go there though. Where I really want to go, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that are hanging out with us or watching this later that want to know about this. Require minimum distributions on the march. These are changing. Talk about the changes to RMDs.
Well, now it's age 73. So that's good in some respects. You can do more things before you're constrained by the government plan. Where you're on their schedule. But do things now. Don't wait till 73. Get that money out. Take unrequired distributions and get them out at lower brackets. You never want to waste a low bracket. Look at the tax brackets we have. Unheard of. 12%, 22%, 24%. If every year that you don't use the full amount of those brackets is a year you'll never get that back. It's like playing a baseball game, but you only have one inning.
This is interesting, Ed, because I think what you're saying is just because we can push that back doesn't mean we should. No. We should be tax planning it younger.
Yeah, you can get that money out. And I'm not saying just put it in another account or spend it, convert it to a Roth, move everything to tax-free territory. I call Roth tax insurance. It's insurance against the uncertainty of what future higher taxes can do to your standard of living in retirement. I even have a lot in here on, and I don't even sell life insurance. I don't sell any stocks, bonds, funds, insurance, annuities. I'm a tax advisor. But I have a whole chapter here called The Power of Life Insurance. I'm talking about permanent life insurance, bringing down those IRA values, which are tax deferred, not tax free, and building up in tax free Roths, building up in tax free cash value and life insurance. So all your savings stick with you 100%. No more sharing with Uncle Sam. That's how you keep more of your hard earned money.
I remember when I was an advisor, I'd have some clients who had lots and lots of cash flow. They were saving everywhere for their goals. And the ability to incorporate a life insurance policy strategically was a thing, Ed, as you know, people, because they only have half the information, they often don't want to do, but it's way the hell better than an annuity.
Well, all things have good places for it. And I have everything, all of those things in the right place. I go through all of this in detail in the book. You can go over this, as you said, get educated so you can be a better consumer, as with anything.
Yes, we would never put the book on the screen right now.
No, I never even put it on my book. What?
Never
How
do
would
that.
Get there?
You know what's funny is for those of you experiencing Ed for the first time, I love the way he does the verbal mic drop. And for a guy that's been doing radio and television stuff for a long time, just tax-free, bam. It's like, Ed, you took the mic and you dropped it right there.
Well, that's what it's all about. People want to keep more of their hard-earned money, and they want guarantees. They want certainty. The tax law today does not give you that. The only place that it's certain is if you can get it in income tax-free territory. And that's what I show you how to do. And that needs to be done now before these opportunities go by the wayside. They're scheduled to go away. The rates are scheduled to go up in 26. We don't know what's going to happen, but I do know at some point, Congress is going to go after the low-hanging fruit, the easy marks, people that are building in their tax-deferred accounts because they know that that money, Congress knows that money has not yet been taxed. So people that are still building IRAs and 401ks are basically sitting ducks if they do nothing now.
That is a small, very small sample. You can see how thick the book is, everybody, but that's a little tiny sample of the awesomeness of diffusing the time bomb. And thanks for making this book yet another instant Amazon bestseller in retirement planning.
Thanks, Joe. Great job. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is Tiffany Grant from the Money Talk with Tiff podcast. And when I'm not sprinkling business and money gems everywhere, I'm stacking Benjamins. Doom, doom, do-do-do-do-doom, do-do-do-doom, do-do-do-do-do. Oh, that wasn't my part. I'm sorry. Carry on.
Ed Slott, OG. How about that guy?
Superstar, pro, extraordinaire. Basically do what Ed Slott says.
Listen to all the stuff we say, but do what he does.
Yes, but do what he says.
Do as I do, not as I say. Something.
Do as we Have Ed Slott too.
Right. And pee your pants. And it's okay. Don't have to worry about it. Hey, OG, let's take a caller on the Better Call Saul, C-High, and OG line, and let's see if we can't help out Nicole.
Hi, Joe and OG. Thank you for all your work with increasing our financial literacy. My name is Nicole, and I'm calling from the Pacific Northwest. And my question is regarding stock options. My husband is in the tech world and has worked on a number of startups, some of which have succeeded and some of which have not. His last one, unfortunately, did not end up doing very well and ended up filing for bankruptcy about a year after he left it. Before he left, he was awarded some stock options for his time at the company, valued at about $4,000. However, now after the bankruptcy has been filed, the value of the statement on his accounts for those stock options is a mere 38 cents. We always took all this money as a bonus, so while unfortunate, it will not devastate our financial plan. However, is there a silver lining that we can still use the sale of those 38 cents now to claim a capital loss of the $4,000? What is your recommendation for these type of stock options? The company is not offering it as part of a compensation, but selling them to you as an employee. Thank you so much for all your help.
Thank you so much for that, Nicole. And I think, OG, that is definitely the world of startups. If you're in the world of startups, sometimes you're going to hit it big. Like we talked about, the roller coasters with the biggest hill, going to have the biggest drop. But sometimes it's wonderful, sometimes not so much. But can Nicole make lemonade out of these lemons with these stock options?
Well, probably not. When it comes to stock options, they're yours under a certain amount of circumstances, right? Vesting, or you've been with the company a certain period of time, but it also requires you to purchase them at the price that they told you that they were offering them to you at. So for example, a lot of times what will happen is they'll say, your bonus is you get to buy 20,000 shares of our company at $1 a share. Now we hope that in 10 years from now, when these expire, the stock will be worth $25 a share. You'll buy them for $1. You'll immediately sell them for 25. Bada boom, bada bing. You're a gazillionaire. Life is great. If you wanted to, you could buy those after the vesting period. You could buy them anytime you wanted. But what most people do
is
might
be able to buy them right now and lose a bunch of money.
Yes. You could.
But
you could.
The good news is you'll save on taxes.
You'll save on
taxes. You'll save a ton on taxes.
You'll save $1,200 in taxes to buy $4,000 worth of stock. That's how that works. If they're restricted shares and it's part of your compensation and then you own them, then you can sell it. Also, a lot of times if it's a startup, it's not publicly traded. So there's some restrictions around selling in terms of, when you can and to whom, so on and so forth. So you might have an issue with trying to find somebody to buy your bankrupt company for 38 cents, even at that price. Like, does anybody want it for 25 cents? No, I'm good. It's worth $0. I mean, the reality is that a bankrupt company stock is worth nothing. That's part of the deal. So even buying it for 38 cents or trading it to somebody for 38 cents would be a bad idea. So the answer to your question is, if you've already purchased them and they were in your name, then yeah, you could write it off. If the stock has gone bankrupt and it's worth $0, you can write that off. If it was an option and you haven't exercised that option yet, then no, you can't, because it's not yours yet. It's a contract. It's still a potential, if that makes sense. That's why stock option planning is so important, because not only are there different types of options, but there's different tax treatment of options when you acquire them, when you sell them, how long you hold on to it. There's different tax implications in the years that you deal with stock options, depending on the different types. So there's a lot of moving parts there. The most common is restricted shares, and that's part of your compensation. A benefits package, bonus package. We generally recommend, if you have restricted shares, that you sell your restricted shares when you vest them, largely because this is the question you should ask. If I got a cash bonus of $10,000 today, would I buy my company stock with it? And most of the time people say, no, I have a bunch in my 401k and I've got a bunch of options. I wouldn't buy more of it today. Well, then that's what's happening, right? Is they're saying, here's a bonus. We've pre-purchased company stock for you in case you want to keep it. And you're like, no, I'm good. I'll take the cash, please, and diversify it. There's a lot of other reasons for that, especially if you're in a successful company. The other extreme happens. So you get some options, maybe you get some bonuses that are restricted shares, maybe some money in your 401k. Company does really well. Now you get a little bit more. You get promoted. You get a little bit more. You got the ESPP plan, which allows you to buy a little bit at a discount. So you do a little bit of that. And then all of a sudden you show up in my office and go, I've got a problem. I've got $4 million of my company stock at a $108,000 cost basis. And I know I should diversify it, but if I do, it's going to cost me $1 million to do it. Now what?
Yeah, but if I don't, my entire asset portfolio is 4.1. I've got 4 million in the stock. I've got very little outside.
Yeah.
I'm screwed either way. I'm screwed no matter
that is
what.
the giant conundrum that people find themselves in when they don't have a strategy going into it. And everybody says the same thing. That'll never happen to me. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not the worst problem to have, right? Wake up and get your statement from your 401k or get your statement from your brokerage account and be like, holy crap, the stock's doing great. I've got $1 million of company stock. But then you go, oh crap, I got $1 million of company stock.
Well, remember our guest a couple of months ago, Michael Balter? That happened to him at Intel, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, he ended up with really those handcuffs, too much money in one place.
Yeah. And so it's a blessing and a curse. And as companies innovate and as they try to create new ways to reward employees, you're going to see more and more of this. And hopefully you find an organization that is successful and you hit it out of the park, but you still have to have a plan for it along the way.
We look at this a little bit like, the analogy that I like is a conveyor belt, that you put a percentage of your portfolio you're going to keep in stock. Let's say it's 5 to 10% of your entire portfolio, which means as you have more money, the dollar value goes up. So you're not avoiding your company, and you certainly can add to the position, but you're just keeping it in check so you don't end up, with the problems that you talked about. But besides that, I love the ESPP because I get the discount. And if the stock just manages to do nothing, if the stock just manages to hold its own, I will get a 10 to 15% discount. But I certainly want to sell it right away because I don't want to go over that percentage. And then to your point, the same thing with the restricted shares. I'm not going to tell them, no, don't give me RSUs or don't give me options because I don't want to load up. No, get them and make it a conveyor belt. Use that conveyor belt. And then that also, I would think, because you're doing that every year, makes that tax burden, you're always going to have a tax burden. I don't want the tax tail to wag the make money dog, but your tax burden is going to be a little more consistent, I would think, if you do it every year.
Well, you have some flexibility there, and obviously you can time things out the way that you want it. I'll add some more complexity to it as you move up in your organization, and as more and more of your pay is based on the results of the organization, so you get more and more incentive type compensation, stock, and that sort of thing. You run into a scenario where you start being limited in your options, or your opportunities, I should say. I don't want to confuse the terminology here. You start being limited in your opportunities to buy and sell it. So as you get to a certain point in your organization, that will come with some restrictions too, or could come with restrictions that are like, okay, well, you can only sell this stock 4 times a year and only on these 4 days. It's like, and you go, well, how can they tell me what to do? Well, it's because you know too much. You're too involved in the day-to-day decisions to be trusted with making your own decisions impartially. And then you have to report it. There's, so it can get out of hand in a hurry. And then you go a couple of years of not selling it. You move up in promotions, and all of a sudden now you're restricted from being able to sell stuff.
Whole different ballgame.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Trust me. I love it when people show up in my office and go, I got all this money and I don't know what to do with it.
Well, and hopefully Nicole,
we've got all sorts of ideas.
Well, and I bet that's why Nicole and her husband play this game is to have those from time to time as well, right?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. But just like you have to have a strategy for rebalancing your normal portfolio, you have to have a strategy for this. This is all part of your net worth.
So Nicole, that's the way that we think about it. Sorry to hear that this one didn't work out, but I'm sure that based on what you said, your husband's on to the next adventure, and good luck on that one. StackingBenjamins.com/voicemail. If you'd like to ask a question, maybe other people are wondering the same thing that you are wondering. Again, StackingBenjamins.com/voicemail. If you're not here though about stock options or about even just investments, you're like, how does this all dovetail together so I meet my goals? Well, OG and his team are comprehensive financial planners, and they are accepting clients right now. So head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG, and that is the link to OG's team and their calendar for a first meeting where they can ask you exactly what you're focused on, and they can help you figure out how they can interface with you to help you make better financial decisions going forward.
OG, now that we helped Nicole out, it's time for my second favorite part of the show, which is when we get to go on the back porch and pour some Bloody Marys, crack a beer.
Bloody Marys.
Kick the shoes off. What if, let's do a speed round. Let's make it quick today, but let's do a speed round of what we've been watching. Like super quick, like 8 seconds on each one. What do you got?
Hold on. Let me find the name of it.
You heard me say speed round, right?
2 things on Netflix. One, I watched the entire series of A Man in Full. Jeff Daniels and a few other characters that you'd recognize. Kind of a weird movie, honestly. I don't know. Not sure about it.
But you went all the way through it.
It was 8 episodes, just kind of burned through it. Yeah. Popcorn stuff that's always on is I'm watching the series of Longmire.
Oh.
On Netflix. He's a sheriff in Wyoming, and it's not very good.
No, it's
either,
not. Well, I think we got through about 6 or 8 episodes of that, and then we fizzled out.
Yeah, kind of the same stuff. How about you?
Well, most recently I've been into Franklin because A, Stacking Benjamins, B, Joe recommended it so strongly, and
Independence Day.
It's actually, so the show is good. Michael Douglas is horrible. Like, how did this guy get to be an A-list actor? He cannot sell being Ben Franklin at all.
Because all you hear is like Gordon Gekko.
Yeah, right.
Greed, for lack of a better term, is good.
There's so many things he is good in. You know, a movie that it doesn't get talked about enough for him is The Game. It's got to be back from like.
I thought about watching that this weekend with my boys.
The Game?
Yeah, because Sean Penn's in it, right? Isn't it his brother?
Sean Penn's the brother.
That's the birthday surprise.
Correct.
If you haven't watched the movie, no spoilers, because you need to. Yeah, you can't. If you haven't watched it, you're a fool.
It's a ride, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the whole thing.
It is a great.
Yeah.
It's a great suspenseful drama. Is that what you got?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
definitely suspenseful.
Right. Yeah, it's mostly suspense. A little bit of action.
Yeah.
And, would highly, highly recommend that. In fact, now that we're talking about it, I want to go back and watch that. And I'm going to finish Franklin because I'm 6 episodes in out of 8. So I'm a completionist.
See if you can pull it off.
I'm going to do it. But, and because, there's the historical aspect, like, you're going to learn some stuff in there that you didn't learn in high school history class. And so that part of any of those historical dramas, I always appreciate. I'll keep going. But it's a little bit cringy every time.
There's definitely no sensationalism in there, though, right? No. Like, it's all exactly factual.
Super straight by the book. Yeah, exactly. I think people were taking notes on dialogue back then.
No Hollywood.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I got going on. So watch Franklin if you're into the historical side of it, not for the acting. Definitely go watch The Game. And sounds like Longmire is a bit of a pass unless you're really into, you need more Yellowstone type fix.
It's not even close to as good as
Yellowstone. It's just out there. Is it Taylor Sheridan, though? That show might be Taylor Sheridan. Same producer.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, okay, that'll wrap it up on the back porch, which is perfect because I just pounded my beer. It is time to get out of here.
So Joe's going to come up on Wednesday. He's got a special thing with Paula that they recorded a couple of weeks ago. And then you and I will be back a week from today with another fantastic Doug and OG show. What do you think about that?
I'm already getting fan mail asking for more of just the Doug and OG show. So,
which is weird.
It's going to be awesome.
You don't have
because I still don't have an email address.
Based on all this, hodgepodge of stuff we did today, Doug, Dougie Fresh, as I like to call you, the Big D.
Oh, that's the best one yet. Let's stick with that.
What should we have learned today?
What's stacked up on our to-do list for today? First, take some advice from Ed Slott. As usual, the tax time bomb is always ticking. And once again, the rules on how to diffuse it are changing. So it's time to revisit your tax strategy to make sure you're in the best position to survive. Second, if you have bazillions stashed away in a high-yield cash vehicle that exceed your emergency fund and long-term goals, it might be time to reevaluate how that cash is working for you. But what's the biggest to do? I got to submit photos of the basement to Dwell Magazine. I bet they'd love to get a peek inside a famous podcast studio. Oh, but first I got to get rid of Mom's unmentionables from the dryer rack. Thanks to Ed Slott for joining us today. Want to learn more about Ed? Of course you do. Head to irahelp.com, or if you want to watch the whole virtual book launch party, you can find that on YouTube. Don't worry, we'll include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.